Thank you for joining us for another episode of Help Nobody Told Me. I'm Jasmine Shapiro, here with my partner Shannon Johnson. We're both realtors at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in the Chicagoland North Shore area. And Shannon, go ahead and introduce our guest.
So this week we have a very special guest with us. This is Trisha Breitlow. She is the Executive Director of the Maine-Niles Association of Special Recreation. Is that long enough for you? So they're an extension of multiple northwest suburbs of Chicago park districts. And what they do is they offer special services within the park districts for people with disabilities, which gives them more access to recreation and leisure opportunities that sometimes we don't think about. So I'm super excited to have the opportunity to talk to her a little bit about what they do. So tell us a little bit more about the association and what you do.
And how you got into it, too.
Sure.
That's, I think, always interesting.
So, Illinois is actually, I'll go way back. Illinois is the only state that has special recreation associations.
Of all the United States?
Of the entire United States. Of the entire world. So we are very unique in that, and it is a very positive thing. There's about 30 SRAs in the state. Most are concentrated kind of like Chicagoland and North. And they all are an extension of either multiple park districts or multiple municipalities. And it is actually legislation that has come into play several years ago that allowed this to happen. When that happens and an SRA is formed, the park district or municipality has access to some additional tax funds that can then be property tax funds that can then be used to fund the association.
Okay. Wonderful. We don't think about that sort of access. Most of us go on and we sign up our kids for a park district and okay, great, off we go. But not everyone can do that.
Right.
So whether they're kids or adults, so the opportunity to be able to go to the same place everyone else goes and to be able to participate is huge. So I love that that's an opportunity. And how did you get involved?
Yeah, tell us about your background.
I kind of fell into it.
Everybody says that. It's so funny.
In college and didn't know what I wanted to do, and just talking, to some friends on my floor and things. Teachers runs big in my family. There's like 26 teachers in a couple generations, and so I was determined I didn't want to teach, but everything all the tests I took all pointed to teaching. So speaking, through the counselors and things, found out recreation and therapeutic recreation was available, and it was very similar in some aspects, and so I just kind of tried it out and it stuck. And then I did my internship at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago at their adapted sports program. And then from there, I got a job at the Northwest Special Recreation Association and WSRA. I was there for about 19 years. I started out doing direct services. I ran the programs and the camps, and then eventually I started overseeing staff. Then I was in the inclusion department and then more administrative. And then this job opened up at Maine-Niles. So for 6 years, I've been the executive director here.
And I heard you say today is your anniversary, right?
Today is
your
my
6-year
anniversary.
Anniversary. Okay, so is this kids or what's the age range?
We serve children through adults.
Oh, okay.
In the summertime, our most popular program is summer camp, right? Currently, today, we have 106 kids in our day camps. They're at different sites within our park districts. Throughout the year, though, the teen and youth population is probably a lot smaller, but we do have many recreation opportunities available for them. And they, bowling, after-school programs, craft programs, Saturday lineup where they come and do general recreation, then go swimming afterwards. But the adult population probably takes up the majority of our participants.
Okay.
So in the description, it talks about meaningful and life-enriching recreation. What does that look like for individuals with disabilities?
Well, I kind of want to take that back to how you introduced me, that you said you can sign up for a park district program and you don't really think about it. So recreation it's therapeutic for everybody, is what I believe. It's not just therapeutic because it's somebody with a disability, but this population of individuals with disabilities has a harder time accessing it. So being able to access it makes it meaningful. That's one aspect. Another is, our programs are based around and planned with lesson plans from our wonderful staff with goals in mind: cognitive, psychological, social. And so a lot of those benefits the individuals see in the programs. Parents, a lot of the younger ones often rave how much they see their kids growing, socializing more, becoming more vocal. It's a great place for them to kind of take the skills they may be working on in therapy and use them in the real world in a safe, controlled environment. There's lots of ways we impact.
Can you share a story about that really captures what you do? And
Sure, there's a lot. Pretty
sure.
much anytime I visit a program, there's a great story there. But we have a newer program called Action Club, and it is in conjunction with the Park Ridge Kiwanis. And Action Club is a specific charter of Kiwanis for people with disabilities. And there's this one young man in that program. He's pretty quiet. He does speak, but very little. I went with him one day to volunteer, and it was like a clothing bank, and he was just so thrilled because he knew he was helping and he was volunteering. And he just had like the best day and the biggest smile. And then actually the same guy a couple weeks ago, Memorial Day Parade, I drove the bus, the Memorial Day Parade, and the Action Club was marching and handing out flags and things. The same individual, he was so excited. He would run up to the people, the spectators, and just hold up 2 flags. Who wants a flag? And then pass them out, and he just had a great time.
I think that's one of the wonderful things when you interact with people with disabilities that you find is they are so excited to be useful, to feel like they are a part of the community, and they're interacting with people and they're giving back and all the things that we do every day. The opportunity for them is so precious.
Yes, right. And I think, that's, again, having access to the programs where they're going to be socializing a lot more than if they're just sitting at home.
Sure.
And many of our participants do have jobs and do other things, but many don't, and we are one of their only outlets.
I would think staffing is, a little bit more specialized for this population. Do you have so many, per staff, so many individuals, or?
It really depends on the program, and it depends on the individual's needs.
Okay.
We can have programs where individuals are staffed 1-to-1, or we can have programs where there's 1 staff for every 8 to 10 people. It really just depends who signs up and the type of program it is. We also offer, we didn't talk about this, inclusion services. So besides the programming that we offer, we work directly with our 7-member park districts to provide inclusion services if there's an individual with a disability who wants to sign up for one of their programs. So like after school care or sports or whatever. And a lot of times that's us training the staff and providing an aid for that. We can also train the park district or give some suggestions, solutions.
So you don't send a staff member, you're actually training their staff.
We can do both.
Okay.
We can have staff that we've hired, part-time staff that we hired that we send out, or yes, we can train their staff.
Interesting.
So what are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities in offering inclusive recreation, especially when you're encompassing so many communities?
So some of the challenges are staffing.
I can imagine.
We currently have 15 full-time staff and 215 part-time staff.
Wow.
So
for 7 locations.
Yeah. And it's not just 7 locations, it's multiple locations within each of those 7 districts.
7 districts, right.
7 districts.
So staffing can be hard. So we're always looking for part-time staff. If anybody's out there wants to make a difference, we would certainly love to talk to you.
Great part-time job for a retiree that wants to spend some time with people and give back while they're doing it.
Absolutely.
Love that idea.
The other, when I talk about inclusive recreation in the park district, that's also challenging just because there's a lot of communication that needs to take place. You're talking to the parent of the child. You're talking to the person who runs the program. You might be talking to the supervisor at the park district. You might be talking to the teacher, and then that's all coming and, getting the information about the child so that we can help them be the most successful they can.
Right.
But opportunities, it's just, there's lots you can make. You make such a difference.
Are there volunteer opportunities as well?
Yes, we do have volunteers.
Because I would think that would be something too for seniors, retired people who maybe want to give a couple hours, a week.
Yeah, for sure.
So besides volunteer, are there other ways that local individuals or businesses can support?
Yes. So we fundraise. M-NASR does some fundraising, and we also have a foundation called the Laponi Foundation, which was formed in 1991 that only supports M-NASR. And they primarily support us with funds for transportation because we have a fleet of 7 accessible vehicles we use for our programming.
Which you drove.
Which I drove. Transportation, 2 parties that we throw each year with about 350 people attending, and also financial assistance. So besides volunteering, we have opportunities to attend fundraisers. We have a bingo night in November in Skokie. It's a lot of fun. It sold out last year. It was very successful. And then the foundation has actually a mini golf outing coming up August 6th. And we're looking for participants for that, sponsors for that. And then the big event, the big fundraiser that they have is the gala, which is always the first Saturday of March. So same thing. We're looking for attendees.
Jasmine and I just did a golf outing. I don't know. We have a team.
Oh, you have a lot of fun. This one's a lot less pressure. It's mini golf. It's really, really low key.
So if I'm part of a park district, someone could be listening anywhere across the U.S., how can they become more inclusive in their own programming?
Sure. There's the term universal inclusion, and as time goes on, a lot of things just kind of naturally become more inclusive, and not necessarily for like an individual with a disability, but just for everybody to use. But I like to remind people that inclusivity is not just the physical inclusiveness, like an accessible playground or making sure your building is fully accessible. That is very, very important, but it includes so much more. So you're starting to see parks now with like communication boards at the park for individuals who use that to communicate. They can also, in their programming, it's important to remember to have a routine, have a schedule, be able to, and I'm talking younger kids, assist with transitions. Those are things that would help all the kids, not just the child with the disability.
Mm-hmm. Or definitely. I know I have a son who really struggled with transitions, so he needed routine. Mm-hmm. Like it was just, it needed to be part of his daily life.
So what are some of the misconceptions that people have about recreation for individuals with disabilities?
Well, I would guess that people might think, we're just Special Olympics, which we do have several sports teams that participate in Special Olympics events, but there are sports teams. So that's one thing. It is a little different. We have a very good relationship with them, but we are different. Of course, people think they can't do things that we offer. If we did rock climbing, they can't do that. Or you're working with individuals who maybe have limited speech or are nonverbal. Well, how are they going to participate in a game you're playing? So I think a lot of misconceptions are like the level of participation that can happen, with also not even it being a misconception, but just not realizing, again, the impact the recreation programming can have and help that individual as well.
What are you most excited about for M-NASR's future?
Well, we had a strategic plan a couple of years ago, and we went through a needs assessment last year, and now we are working with a consultant on some focus groups. So we are right now in the middle of 4 different focus groups we're doing. So we're very excited to hear kind of the direction they're looking to go. But 2 things we're kind of focusing on with the focus groups is an adult day program. Many SRAs up here have adult day programming, so all day long. We're kind of just dipping our toes into that, where it's a couple of days a week. And eventually, we think we'd like to get there. We are pretty sure it's a demand that we would like to fill.
Huge.
And then we also have a sensory room in Des Plaines, and our borders go from Des Plaines up to Skokie. So it's obviously on the far west end of our service area. So then is that something else we want to create again, is another sensory room. And I think...
And what would a sensory room entail?
So it again is individualized for each person who uses it. Some it's lights, it's vibrations, it's different senses, motions, pictures that go on the floor that you can play with, bubble tubes. But some people go in and just chill, and it just helps regulate, and they just feel calmer and more regulated when they come out. Some will work with the parents on what their goals are and try to mimic some things that are at home in the sensory room, so they can continue to work on those skills.
Interesting.
And do you help the parents then of these students learn how to adapt some of these things at home if they're really excited about an activity?
There's definitely been some collaboration with that, for sure.
I would think that would be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you wish more people really understood about the value of adaptive recreation?
That it's, first of all, it doesn't have to be adaptive recreation. Recreation is valuable for all. I think that's the first thing. So whether you have a disability or you don't, it's valuable. The value for individuals with disabilities, like we were talking about earlier, they may not have access to the programming. So being able to change the program a little, have closer staffing ratios, have program adaptations, allows them that access and that joy and that experience that they may not otherwise have.
Absolutely. So tell us how people can learn more or get involved or support M-NASR's mission. Where will we go?
So our website is www.M-NASR, our initials, Maine-Niles Association of Special Recreation.org. We are also on the social, so we have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
And I'm sure it would be really fun to follow some of those socials.
Yes.
And see what you guys are up to.
It's great stuff.
And I'm probably a few tears, so don't put your mascara on, I'm guessing, before you see those, at least for me personally.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll have all of the information about M-NASR in our show notes so that you can click the links there as well. And we're so glad you tuned in today to Help Nobody Told Me.
Please make sure you subscribe, follow, share this episode to anybody you think could benefit from it, and tune in next week for another episode.